Hello and welcome back to day 2 of our 12-day Yoga for Athletes challenge. On Monday, we laid the foundation with a body scan meditation practice, setting the tone for this week for becoming better attuned to our bodies. Today, we continue to connect with the body as we get moving with an active yoga session. This is ideal for lighter training days and for active recovery. The movement is going to help improve circulation, which is going to help deliver oxygen to those healing muscles, clear the body of waste materials such as cortisol, and ultimately help you to recover faster so you can return to training sooner. In today's session, we will be working with poses that specifically target the lower body, engaging the muscles like your quads, hamstrings, and glutes, which are essential for everything from running and jumping to lifting and pivoting. We'll also be doing some mobilizing, such as in the hip joints. But it isn't just about strength and flexibility. We're also going to be honing our body awareness. As we move through the poses, I'll encourage you to tune into your body, noticing how you move, whether you're holding on to any tension, and learning how to find more ease in your movements. This awareness is going to be a valuable tool for both your performance as well as injury prevention. So for today's practice, set yourself up somewhere you have space to move around your mat. You may want to have a blanket and some blocks to hand to help support you in your practice. And I will show you how you can use these to help modify your practice if needed. If you don't have any of these, then a folded up bath towel or some books are also a good substitute. And always listen to your body. This is not another workout for you to push yourself to the limit. This practice is about building a sustainable foundation for your athletic pursuits. It's not about pushing through discomfort. So if you need to back off, modify, rest, take support, then please do. So we'll begin with some settling in to help us to arrive here into our practice, both in mind and body. So come to a comfortable seated position. I'm in a cross-legged easy seat Sukhasana pose, and I'm also sat up on a blanket. You're welcome to do the same or use a block. And then if it's comfortable for you, you may like to close your eyes to help you draw your lens inwards or just bring them to a soft gaze. And then we'll just take a moment now to arrive here onto our mat. And we can do that by focusing in on the breath, noticing the quality of the breath. So does it feel fast or slow, deep or shallow, cool or warm? Just spending a few moments with the breath, just to use the breath as a way to anchor us to the present moment. And then I'm going to invite you to do a breath awareness exercise where we're going to send our focus and attention to different parts of the body, noticing how the breath feels there. So you can either keep your eyes closed here, or you're welcome to open the eyes just so you can see where I place my hands, which again are also optional. So begin by placing the hands on the belly and just notice how the breath moves in and out of the belly. Notice how the belly expands into the hands as you inhale, and then notice how the belly falls again as you exhale. So again, noticing the inhale, hands moving out, belly expanding, and then as you exhale, the belly falling again. Now taking your hands to either sides of your ribs, and then this time notice how as you inhale, The breath expands into the sides of the body here now. And then notice that movement in the hands as well. So as you inhale, notice how the ribs expand into the hands in that sideways movement. And notice how the ribs contract again as you exhale, hands moving back to center. One more time, inhaling, notice that sideways movement. And then exhale, back to center again. And then this time we're just going to take our hands to our lower back. Notice the breath moving in and out of the back here this time as you inhale and exhale. And you may not actually feel any movement, and that's okay. We're just sending our attention and awareness to those parts of the body. Okay, whenever you're ready, flutter the eyes open if you've got them closed. We're going to start our movement practice now. So we're going to come onto all fours into a tabletop position now. So if you've got the blanket, set that out of the way. So coming onto all fours, onto our hands and knees, and just begin by noticing how you come into your tabletop position. So notice where your hands are placed. Are your shoulders stacked over your wrists, hips stacked over the knees? And it's not about right or wrong. It's just noticing how you've set yourself up and also how best you can support yourself. So if your shoulders are stacked over your wrists and your hips over your knees, then that gives you that sort of stacking support. And then we're just going to start to introduce some movement into the body. We're just going to go round in circles, coming into some rolls. And this is your chance to explore and notice how movement feels in your body. So notice the sensations, any areas of stickiness. How does this feel in your wrists, the knees, the hips? If you've got sensitive knees, by the way, you're welcome to place a blanket under the knees. Again, then going in the other direction. Just notice how it feels. You're even welcome to close your eyes here if that helps. Okay. Come back to your tabletop position now. And then you're going to take your left leg long out behind you, toes tucked, and just rocking back and forth, getting into our calf muscle as well as articulating in the foot. Our feet don't always get enough attention. Just rocking back and forth. And then when you're ready, you're going to step that left leg through into a lunge at the front. So move the hands if you need to. And this is where, if you can grab the blocks, if you have any, this can help support you to balance in our next pose. So we're going to start linking breath with movement now. We're going to move between a lunge and a half split. So on your inhale, you're going to come up right into your low lunge. And then as you exhale, you're going to shift the hips back, coming into a half split. So front leg is straight, or they can keep a little bit of a bend in the knee if you need to. And then moving between the two, inhale, coming into our lunge, exhale, half split. Inhale, low lunge, exhale, half split. And again, inhale, you can let go of the blocks if you want to, but it's a bit more of a balancing challenge. Exhale, half split. And then this time we're just going to hold it here in our half split. So just notice how this feels. So the aim of this pose is we're trying to get into the backs of our legs here. So there's our hamstrings here. And then if you flex the foot, then you're also getting into the calf muscle here as well. And then also notice the back. So if we've got a tight lower back or tight hamstrings, they often tend to be linked, then you might have a tendency to round the back in order to get your torso closer to the leg, in which case back up out of the forward fold, keep that length in the spine, and then forward fold. And you may find that you don't go as far, and that's absolutely normal. The intention of the pose is that we're getting into our hamstrings, getting a stretch there, as well as our lower back. Okay, and then when you're ready, coming into our lunge again. So set yourself up as you need. And then again, we're going to spend a bit of time here getting into our right hip flexor here. And notice how you're set up. So your back toe can be tucked or it can be flat on the ground. And we can increase the stretch by really making the pelvis heavy towards the floor, really grounding that knee and the shin into the mat, and just notice how that changes the intensity of the stretch. Maybe even pressing the back of that foot, the top of the foot, sorry, into the mat as well. And then we can also add a psoas stretch here. So we're going to inhale, taking the right arm up overhead. And then as we exhale, stretch over to the left side. And we're going to feel it all along here. And then our psoas muscle is one of our hip flexors, but it's also a stabilizer because it connects to our spine. Okay, use your inhale to come back to center. Place the blocks to the front again, and then we're just going to switch sides. So this time taking your right leg behind you straight, toes tucked, and just rocking back and forth, getting into that calf muscle as well as the foot. And then when you're ready, stepping that right foot forward into a lunge, moving between a lunge and half split now. So inhale into your lunge, exhale into half split. Inhale, lunge, exhale, half split. Inhale, lunge, and then this time coming into a half split and holding it here. And again, like I said, notice the back. Are you rounding? If you need to add a little bit of a bend into that knee, if you've got tight hamstrings, then do. Then coming back into your lunge, and again, heavy with the pelvis and the knee and foot. Inhale, taking the left arm up, and then as you exhale, coming over to the right side. And you may have noticed I've got my hand here in the butt. You're also welcome to have your right forearm on the front thigh as well. Okay. Use the inhale to come back to center. Blocks out of the way. Come back into your tabletop position. And then we're going to come into a downward dog. So you're going to tuck the toes under, lift the knees, and then send your hips back up towards where the ceiling meets the wall. Coming into our upside down V shape, our downward dog. And just maybe spend a moment to bend one knee at a time, getting the backs of the legs opened up, getting yourself used to this pose. Notice the hands, you may need to take them out a little bit wide, perhaps if you've got some tight shoulders. And just notice if your weight is slightly forward, you want to send your weight as far back as possible, in which case you may need to bend the knees like I've done here. And don't worry about getting the heels down to the mat either. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to start to walk the feet to the top of the mat towards the hands, and be curious with every step. So, we're tuning into our body here. So there's no rush to get to our destination. Notice how you move. And then when you arrive here, we're going to slowly roll up. So begin by really pushing through the feet and then rolling up slowly, noticing how you start to stack the bones, how the spine starts to slowly stack vertebra by vertebra until you come to stand in your mountain pose. So this is a pose in itself. And just spend a moment now to tune back into the body. You can even place one hand on the heart and the other on the belly. And just notice how you're feeling. Perhaps you're feeling a little bit warmer now. And just notice the connection between the feet and the ground. Notice your center of gravity, maybe swaying side to side, forward and back. Noticing where that center of gravity is. And then when you're ready, we're going to start our movement again, coming into our standing poses now. So hands down by your side, linking breath with movement. Inhale, we're going to take the arms out and up overhead. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale into a flat back, hands to shins, or you can use the blocks here. Back parallel to the floor. Exhale, hands down to the mat, and you're going to step back into a downward dog. Okay. Inhale, you're going to bring that left foot forward into a lunge. Pick it up if you need to. You're also welcome to come from a tabletop position and then step that leg through. And then grab a block. We're going to come into a twist, and having a block under the hands just helps to open the body up a bit. So you can have the back knee down or up. Inhale, we're going to twist the torso towards that left knee. Left hand can be on the left thigh or up towards the ceiling. Okay. And then we're going to come into a high lunge. So bring the torso back to center. Magnetize that back and front foot together to give you that engagement in the legs, and really push through that front foot to come up into your high lunge. You also have the option of dropping the back knee down to the mat in this pose as well. And again, just notice how this feels. Notice the back foot. Make sure you're using that back foot as well as the front foot to support you in this pose, and notice the back ankle as well. Okay, we're going to come into warrior two now. So ground that back heel down onto the mat. Front foot is roughly intersecting the center of that back foot. Back foot is either parallel to the mat, back of the mat, or slightly turned inwards. Front thigh rolling out, back thigh rolling in, arms out to a T. And then just spend a moment to notice how this feels. Is your weight equally distributed between both feet, or are you slightly leaning forward? Use both feet to support you in this pose. And then notice the arms as well. Are you using those big back muscles to support holding your arms up? And one way you can check that is to rotate the palms up from the shoulders and then turning the palms down again, but just from the wrists. Okay, next move, we're going to come into Skandasana, so our side lunges. So bringing our hands together to our heart center, and then we're just going to sway side to side in our Skandasana. So getting into our inner thighs here. Moving side to side to begin with. And then when you're ready, we're going to hold it here on our left side. And you can take it as high or as low as you like. Keeping it high is more of a strengthening pose. If you take it lower, then you're getting more into your mobility, but possibly less of a strength exercise. So your practice, you choose what you need to do. Bring the blocks around as well, just in case you need them. And then we're going to switch to the other side, coming onto our right side. And use the breath as well here. So if you're finding this challenge, bring your focus and attention to the breath. And then just come back to center, and then we're just going to, legs straight, we're just going to come into a forward fold straddle here. So you've got the blocks here if you want to place the hands on the block and just let the head go now here. And just spend a moment here to just tune in again to both the body and also the mind. Notice how both are feeling. And then when you're ready, we're going to repeat the same sequence on the other side. So bring the blocks with you. We're going to come round to the back of the mat now. So coming into a lunge with our right foot at the front. Grab a block for your left hand. Back knee can be up or down. We're coming into our twist. So hand up to the ceiling, twisting towards our right leg, or right hand to the right thigh. Okay, come back to center. We're going to come into our high lunge now. So magnetize that front and back foot, pushing through that front foot, your right foot, come up into a high lunge. Hold for a breath. And then when you're ready, coming into a warrior two, so grounding that back foot down, arms out to a T. And again, notice how you're set up in this pose. Notice the knee this time. Is the knee coming inwards? In which case, make sure the knee is stacked over the ankle. And again, it's about how you can support yourself in this practice. So if your knee's going in, then you're going to put a little bit of tension on the sides of your knees here. So stack the bones, which is going to help you to support you in this pose. Okay. And then we're going to come out of this pose. We're just going to switch our feet so that we come back to the top of the mat so that we can cartwheel the hands down to frame the left foot. And then we're going to step that left foot back, coming into a downward dog. And take a moment now to notice how the body's feeling. Notice how this downward dog feels compared to the last one. Perhaps your heels are a little bit closer to the mat now. Maybe you don't need to bend your knees so much to get your hips further towards the back. And if neither of that has happened, then that's also okay. And then when you're ready, we're just going to drop the knees down onto the mat. And then we're going to come into our floor poses now. So just grab the blocks to have them at the top of the mat, ready for when you need them. Hands back onto the mat and just send your hips back up into a downward dog again. And then we're going to step the left foot to the top of the mat, to the outside of our left hand this time. We're coming into a lizard pose now. So feel free to drop that back knee or keep it up. We're just going to rock back and forth to get into the hips. And this is where, if you've got the blocks, you're welcome to use the blocks. So knee up or down. And then we're just going to hold it here for a few breaths. Getting into our hips as well as our hip flexor here. And then maybe the longer you hold it, maybe start to bring the torso a little bit closer to the mat. And this is where you can use the blocks here to help support you if you want. And if you haven't got the blocks, it's fine. You can just have your hands on the mat like so. And we'll just spend a few breaths in these poses now, starting to bring the nervous system back down into the parasympathetic state, which is our rest and digest state. And also when we're in a calmer state, then we're also more likely to release any tension in the muscles, which may help us to get a little bit deeper into the pose. Okay, so you can stay here in this lizard pose, or you can add a quad stretch here. And this is where I recommend having a block if you can, because that's going to help give you a little bit more space to reach the foot. So your right hand's either going to be on the mat or a block. Left hand is going to reach around. So we're coming into twist towards that left foot. And then that left hand is going to grab that right foot, coming into a quad stretch here. Like I said, this block is going to help you be more able to grab that back foot. And if you can't grab the foot, that's absolutely fine. If you have a strap or bathrobe tie, then you can use that to loop around the foot as well. Okay, gently release that back foot now. We're going to come into a pigeon stretch. So we're going to bring that left foot across the body now. And then bending that knee, bringing that shin in. Hips are facing forward. And then this is where you might want to grab a blanket to help support you. You might want to put it underneath that left hip. And then whenever you're ready, maybe start to come a little bit lower to the mat. And you've got your blocks here, so you can use the blocks to raise the ground up to meet you. Or you can even use it as some support. So you can have the block under the torso here as well as for the forehead. Notice any tension in the body. And if there is any tension, then see if you can use the breath to release any tension. Okay, when you're ready, Use your inhale to come back out of your pigeon pose. And then we're just going to come into a downward dog to reset. And then do the other side. Okay, this time stepping the right foot to the outside of the right hand, rocking back and forth with the back knee up or down, just to ease into this lizard pose. And then we're going to hold it here for a couple of breaths. Grab the blocks if you need to. And then you're welcome to stay here, or you can add the quad stretch. So right arm behind you, grabbing that foot. And then using the breath again, releasing any tension from the body. Gently release that foot, coming into our pigeon pose now. So left foot across the mat, hips facing forward. Grab a blanket if you need to support your right hip. And then start to bring yourself forward, grabbing the blocks if you want for that support. And just allow the body to just ease into this shape now, so there's no forcing. We're just allowing the body to take whatever shape, releasing any tension. And maybe notice if there's any tension in the places that we don't need to hold tension as well. So perhaps in the brow, the jaw. Send the breath like a comb to comb out any knots and tension in the body. Okay, whenever you're ready, using the inhale to slowly bring yourself back upright out of your pigeon pose. Set the blocks aside, blanket out of the way, and then one last down dog to reset again. Your last chance to just explore how this feels in the body. If you're feeling in need of more rest, then you're welcome to drop the knees and come into a child's pose. So tuck the toes, send the hips back, coming into a child's pose if you like. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to set ourselves up for our final resting pose, our Shavasana now. So we're going to come to lie all the way down onto our back. Grab any extra layers if you want, or a blanket. I'm going to place the blanket on top of my hips. There's just some extra grounding. The legs wide, arms slightly away from the body, palms up. And just let everything go now. Take this opportunity to just absorb the effects of your practice. And just one last exercise. We're going to release any tension left in the body by doing some contraction and release. So first of all, we're going to contract the legs, maybe taking them long, scrunching the feet, and then release. And then balling the fists, contracting the arms, maybe squeezing the glutes, and then release. And then lastly, scrunching up the face, and then release. And then just fully let go now. Let go of any more doing, and just allow yourself to just be present here on the mat a moment longer before you move on with your day, and you allow any thoughts to come in. Take this opportunity to just allow all the work you've done to soak into the body now. And if you do find that your mind starts to wander, then just kindly and compassionately redirect your focus either to the breath, noticing the breath, or redirecting it to any sensations in the body. Okay, whenever you're ready, I'm going to start to bring life back into the body now. But if you want to stay a little bit longer here in your Shavasana, you're more than welcome to. A good 5 to 10 minutes is always good. But if you're ready to come out of it, then start to wriggle the fingers and the toes, maybe circling out the wrists and the ankles, and then taking whatever movements feel good now. So maybe stretching the arms and the legs long. You might like to roll to one side, curling up in a fetus position, lingering here for a moment. And then when you're ready, slowly start to bring yourself upright, leaving the head till last. And then we're just going to close out our practice. So I invite you to place one hand on the heart, the other one on the belly. And if you want to, you can close the eyes one more time and just spend a moment to just tune in again to the body. Notice the effects of your practice. Notice how both the mind and body are feeling. Send thanks to yourself for giving yourself this time here on the mat, and thank your body for all the work that it does. And then whenever you're ready, you can float the eyes open. So thank you for joining me for day 2 of our Yoga for Athletes challenge. I hope you've been finding it of benefit, and you're starting to hone that skill of tuning into your body. Join me for day 3 when we do a yin yoga practice, again honing our skill of tuning into the body. As always, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any comments, leave them here, or better yet, join the Facebook group, share your experience there with other athletes as well as myself. And you can also find me on social media. Thank you again, and see you on day 3.